Alright, today I'm going to show you how to change strings and set up a guitar that is equipped with a Floyd Rose. Here's the guitar we're going to be doing. This is a Jackson Kelly, made in Japan. I think around like a 2010. Alright, and here's everything that I'm going to use and what you might need to do yours. Obviously a pack of strings. This is a trim block. If you don't have one of these, I'll show you what you can use instead. A big Phillips, a small Phillips, a Sharpie, something to cut your strings with, so some wire cutters. Got some fretboard conditioner, a tuner of some kind. This is just a snark tuner. A cloth. I won't need this because it's a Floyd, but when I do a string change, I usually use some Big Ben's nut sauce. Got your Allen wrench you're going to need to do your lock nut and down at the bridge to put your strings in, and then some masking tape. This is everything I'm going to use today on this, and we'll get right into how to do this. Alright, first off, this is a guitar that's currently tuned in drop C with 10 to 52 gauge strings. We're going to be putting it back in standard tuning with a set of 9 to 46. So that's why I'm doing this on this guitar, because there will be a little bit of setup involved in that. First step I like to do is flip the guitar over. Okay. If you'll notice the piece of masking tape on the back, that's what we're going to use our masking tape over here for when we get done, is I have my string gauge. Go ahead and take this off. And tuning. Drop C, 10 to 52. So, just a reminder of what you have on there. So it makes it a lot easier when you have multiple guitars with multiple different tunings and setups, and it's a good trick to do. Just put whatever tuning and what gauge strings that's currently on it. That'll help you with your setup. First thing I like to do, take the back plate off. Got our small Phillips. Make sure you keep all your screws and all your parts put in a spot where they're not going to get lost. Okay, now once you got the back plate off, now you can see on mine I have a little bit of full on the back just for some extra shielding. This is our springs. This is our claw on the back. What I like to do if I'm doing a gauge change, and just stick with me with it, trust me, go ahead and twist these screws in just a couple times. It's going to add a little extra pull, and I'll explain why this is kind of important to me in the next couple steps here. Add some tension to that. The next, we're going to flip the guitar over. Then the next thing I like to do is take your fine tuners and kind of raise them up to somewhere toward the middle. Maybe we just have a little bit where you can go backward. Kind of set them to where they're, you go either way with your fine tuning, so you're not out of you don't have it fully adjusted down when you need to fine tune it, and then it's not going to work. You have to redo it. So just kind of put them in the middle somewhere, your fine tuners. Next is a very, very important and crucial step. See, I have my trim block here, and I put it underneath the back of the Floyd here, but as you can see, it's not setting level. Let's get it focused good. Yes. See, it's up a little too high. So let's try this. Let's take the trim block out. Do this with one hand. 1 second. Now let's take our back plate. Right here. This is what I use a lot of the time anyways. It's already off the guitar. Let's put that underneath. And if you notice, it's setting perfectly flush now. You want that perfectly level. See, that's perfectly level. You got your back plate sitting right underneath the back of the Floyd right there. Make sure that is level. This is the key to all of this right here. Okay, next, after your trim is perfectly level down there, get your Allen wrench. Come up to the headstock. We're going to go ahead and take these off. Just take these lock nuts off. Take them just completely off. And the hair bow is up there to for string noise. If you don't have that, some people use foam, or you can use a jimmy clip or whatever, but yes, that's important to have. Set these to the side. I always like to make sure I use the exact same one that I take off each set of strings, because over time they will develop grooves in them. Probably can't see it on camera, but there's grooves already in these, and I don't want any chance of the string slipping. So once those are off, let's go ahead and get this hair bow off too. Just go ahead and start taking some tension off these strings. To where they're, very loose. Okay, now that all the strings are slacked, let's go ahead and take your cutters. Let's go ahead and cut them. Then take these old strings off up here at the headstock. Now, once you have all the strings off from the headstock, you got these left over. Take your Allen wrench. Should be the same one you used for the nut up here. Just wanna, I'll raise my bridge up using the bar there. Undo those. Take those out. Undo all the strings like that. Pause there. Okay, once you got all the strings off and got your blocks loose back here, next step I would just go ahead and do is go ahead and just condition your fretboard. So it has a little time to soak. So I think it's been a while since this has had any, so grab you a cloth and get this fretboard conditioner. I'm using the Jen Dunlop's 65 there fretboard conditioner. Rub it in, make sure you get all of it, even this little piece right down here. You want to let this soak in just a few minutes before you wipe the excess off. That way the wood has time to hydrate. Keeping your fretboard conditioned is very important for the longevity of your guitar. This is ensures you don't have any fretboard cracking. It keeps it looking nicer, darkens up the fretboard. So you go ahead and put that on like that. Then we're gonna give that a few minutes to soak. And while that's soaking up, we're going to clean around where the strings normally are, where it's hard to get to. So get on in here. Okay, once you got, this cleaned up decently, it's not going to be perfect, just depends on how clean you want it, but this has been setting, a minute or two. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the excess fretboard oil. It's okay if you leave a little on there, it's going to soak up, it's going to go away after a little bit, so yeah, just wipe it down. All right. Now I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. Leave your ball end on. I know a lot of people cut the ball end, but there's really no point at all. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Line this hole up a little. I like my hole a little straight there. Put it in this way through your headstock, through your tuner. Pull it all the way to the ball end. So now guess what you have? You have a locking tuner now. Ball end all the way. Okay. Run your string down to your bridge. What I like to do is go all the way to the end of the fine tuner right there. Right there. Hold your fingers there, and that's where I'm going to cut the string. Just ahead, run it down to where your string's at the end of where your locking screw is there. Hold your fingers there. Cut it. Put it down in here. Make sure it's in the middle of it. Then get your Allen. Tighten it up. And yes, if you notice, I do have a cloth under this back plate now, because just to prevent scratching or anything like that. So yeah, you don't want to get super tight with these, but you don't want to go super loose where they're going to fall out. So just don't over tighten. I like to go, see if I get in here about like that, and then starting to get snug now. Okay, see, now I'm feeling like it's hard to turn. I just go like maybe a quarter turn. Okay. Now make sure your string's up in the groove here in the nut. Keep constant pressure like this. Start winding. Now as you're keeping that pressure and you start winding, here's how I like to do. I like to make sure that the ball end of the string goes on top of the string. So see that ball? I want to make sure it goes over top, which it is. Push it down a little bit like that, make sure. That's going to create a really good stable string hold up there. And that string will keep going underneath. I like to get at least 2 full winds under mine. Right there's about 2 winds. And that string's done. Just repeat that process for the next 6 strings. I'll cut the footage here and I'll start back up when I get all the strings on. We'll go from there. Alright, I have all the strings on now, as you can see. We all got a couple wraps up here. Got our makeshift locking mechanism up there. It's not in tune, I just tuned them up to some tension on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to just bend random spots on the string. Stretch these guys out real good. It's very important. And also, I'll throw in this little bit of advice. Since you have, you know, your locking nut system off, it's always a good practice to make sure that these nuts right here, or these screws, are tight. Don't strip them, but make sure they're tight, holding this nut down to the headstock here. Because these being loose will cause this nut to move very so slightly, and that actually is the main cause of a lot of tuning stabilities on a Floyd system. So I just check these are nice and tight. So just do that every time you change strings, just make sure these are snug. Okay, now that the strings are stretched out a little bit, all we're going to do now is tune the guitar up using our headstock tuners. Like I said, I'm going E standard in these. And I'll actually go just like ever so slightly sharp on these. Because as the neck will get some of that relief back in it from the tension on the strings, it'll compensate for that. Just go through and get all your strings in tuned, whatever tuning you're putting your guitar in, and I'll be right back. Okay, the guitar is in tune. Now you just want to come back down here and make sure that this is still setting flush, and it is. Still setting perfectly level right here. And that's the reason at the beginning of the video why I tightened them springs in the back, because you're going to get extra pull back on this, so there's no way that you're going to get tension this way. That's why I added a little extra pull in the back. That way there was no risk of it having too much string pull on here. So once you have it level and in tune, what we're going to do is we're just going to put our locking, we're going to put our blocks back on here. Alright, we're going to put our lockers back on, get them finger tight. Come back with our Allen wrench, just snug them up. You don't want to go too tight on these either, just where you feel some tension. There's some tension right there, just a little bit. That's all you need. Turning, turning. Feel the tension right there. Little turn. That's it. Now they're locked down. Now we're going to move back down to this end of the guitar. The guitar is in basically tuned. I mean, you know, there's going to be, it's not perfect, but that's where our fine tuners come in. What we're going to do, put our bar back in, and we're just going to take this out. Okay, now we have the block out from underneath the bridge there, and I'm going to see what tuning it's in now. Okay, I'm in F right now, which means that there's too much string tension. Which means there's my bridge is too far recessed. So what I'm going to do, we're going to flip the guitar over. Take this trim arm off. So it's sharp. So what we're going to do is going to loosen the springs up just a little bit. Go a couple turns. What you're going to do is do some turns. Check the tuning again. Oh, we're almost dead nuts. Oh, that's like dead on almost. Check my, yep, setting perfectly flush. Then what you're going to do is just fine tune. See, it's just needs like the bareliest little there. That one needs just a little bit. You want to keep going until that E string with your spring is in perfect tune. Then to fine tune everything else. Perfect. Little sharp. Perfect. Little sharp. Little sharp. Perfect. Perfect. Now we're in perfect tune, and then you want to check your truss rod too, which easy way to do that. Here, I'll go ahead and do it right here. Turn the tuner off. Check your relief. Put your finger there, and on like the 14th or something. Just barely. I like mine. I like to have little to no relief at all, which is actually probably better to put it in the playing position when you do that. Let's see. There's just very little relief the way I like it. So I like really low action. That's it. This guitar is set up perfectly, and that's pretty much the steps. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do another tutorial on just how to set up change strings on a hardtail, which is a lot easier than this. But yeah, let me know if this works for you in the comments, and like and subscribe, and stay tuned.